this was the objective, you know, like it's not a peak, but damn, it took a lot to get up here. And it's something else to behold, man. This is crazy.
Welcome to the channel. My name's Jeff. I'm just another 20-something trying to figure out my place in this world. What I've learned so far is that I love working with youth, being outside, and failing forward.
It's snowing again.
Sometimes literally. And usually on camera. Most of all, I love sharing stories. This one's about my first overnight trip in the mountains. I hope you enjoy. After taking some time to recover from Mount Wakefield, I could feel the ambition bubbling within me to take on another challenge. My eyes landed on something I'd heard of while working a random day at the hostel, the Annette Plateau. Getting there would allow me to see the valley from the highest point yet, and from a brand new perspective. To get to this location, I'd have to camp near Muller Hut and then spend the entire next day navigating the glacier shelf. There was no doubt I was taking things up a notch in difficulty, but I was determined to apply the lessons I'd learned from my last trip. I spent significantly more time researching the route, packing and repacking my new backpack, and thinking about how much food to bring for a 2-night trip. I even slept in my bivvy for a night, which, for those who don't know, a bivvy is kind of like if a coffin was a tent. But I did this so that I didn't have to set it up for the first time in poor conditions. On the day of, I pre-packed everything before going to work for the day. This allowed me to hit the trail with good momentum, which I was going to need to get to Muller Hut before sunset.
It's already starting to spark my memory. The beginning/end is Easy Street. Very peaceful and misleading. I'm gonna hike in shade most of the day. Sun's setting over the mountain, so probably won't see the sun again till I get up. Hopefully I get up before sunset. Set up camp. And the stairs begin. 2,200 of these things. Oh God, this is gonna suck. All right. Yikes. All right. Checking in from Sealy Tarns. Made it up here in pretty good time. Took about an hour. I was realizing on the way up here how I'd only done this once before, and it wasn't with a 45-liter pack like this, and it also wasn't after a full day of work. So yeah, that was adding to it. I was feeling pretty sluggish, but I ended up making it up here in good time. And a little relatable bit for the average hiker out there. Yeah, just to break any barriers. If it looks like I know what I'm doing, I don't. I mean, I do kind of, but I also mostly don't. Just kind of researching and asking questions and trying my best. But I'm in pretty average shape here, as you can tell from my belly sweat line. It's tough sledding out here, and it's hard not to get down emotionally on myself, feeling like, oh, a year ago I was in better shape and could have handled this a little easier, but at the same time, 3 years ago I wouldn't have been able to even get up here. So I don't know. It's a hard balancing act. Just trying to give myself grace, you know? All right, up we go. Oh, check this out. There's a kia. It's a native bird to New Zealand. They love eating things like anything. Check it out. Apparently these birds are incredibly intelligent and mischievous. They're known to eat at your tent, your car, anything they can get a hold of, really. Anything that's shiny specifically, which is why you see this one gnawing at the top of that little pole there. It's bright orange. They're bigger than I expected. Wow. Whew. So cool. So cool. Oh my God. This is absolutely bonkers. Damn, I am so lucky. All right, I gotta stop oohing and awing. Let's get to my campsite and I can ooh and ah from there. All right, we'll see if we can get this little interview off before GoPro dies. I'm looking for a little camping spot. And as I speak, look at that. Boom shakalaka. Little flat spot. With a nice little rock wall to help protect from the wind. Amazing. Cool. I can either do here, and that is the Mulder Glacier. That's pretty cool. Or I guess I could do over there. I'll check them both out. But time to set up the bivvy.
Getting everything unpacked and set up for the night took quite a while, but the occasional icefall from the Sefton Range,
Holy shit.
and beautiful views from the sun setting behind the mountains helped it feel like no time was passing at all. Honestly, I was simply ecstatic just to be back in the mountains again and trying something new. Waking up in the mountains is a majestic feeling. Something that's not quite as good, but is pretty awesome in its own right, is being able to take my time to soak in the beauty of it all before getting everything packed up. And yes, if you're keeping track, that is another lesson I learned from Wakefield, and a major part of the reason that I bought all of this overnight gear in the first place. It allowed me to sit and admire the ridiculousness of my environment and warm up a filling breakfast before condensing everything back into the bag and continuing the journey.
All right, just walked a little bit from camp. This is kind of the visibility I'm dealing with. I'm supposed to head down, descend so that I'm about 200 meters lower than the ridgeline with Olivier and Kitchener. And then as I make my way this way, slowly ascend to the plateau, which is over there. This is first time trying to navigate with just the GPS and my memory of the topo map. Obviously, my eyes, what I'm seeing in front of me. It's a fun challenge. Right. Wouldn't want to step on that. Pretty sure this area is heavily snowed in most parts of the year. So I'm seeing it in a rare state. with all the rocks. Very loose for the most part. And also there's some sections that are really wet. Oh, it's got to be like 100% humidity right now with this fog. It's like walking on another planet. I would say like Mars if it wasn't for the fog. Okay. All right, this is one of the first question marks of the day. Gotta find my way onto a shelf that is supposedly around here and hope it's not just a giant slide down onto the glacier. Oh boy, I don't even need these. It's getting to the point where I can barely see in front of me. I'm really hoping these clouds pass soon. It's causing everything to be real wet, and I really do not like that. All right, well, I think I found the shelf. It's this whole section here. But I gotta get down there and then make my way up, which I don't love in these conditions. But we're gonna go nice and slow. Let's just focus on getting down. Alright, just slipped and fell pretty bad. Not loving this wet grass, man. Really want to be back on rock. And ideally, with less clouds. This sucks. Alright. Ah, fuck. Okay. Gotta focus.
Once I had made my way down to the shelf, I still had trouble navigating due to the heavy fog. I had been told there was a light path marked by cairns, which are those little rock towers that you'll sometimes see along the path, but I hadn't seen any up to this point. Over the next couple of hours, I did my best to push forward through steep and unsteady footholds, as well as icy patches that required use of some crampons my friend Ryan let me borrow. I eventually made my way across the glacial shelf and to the base of a gradual ascent that would take me up to the plateau.
I'm a bit tired. We've gotten to just past the low point on the route. And that's the section, really, this whole section that I just did was kind of traversing underneath Mount Olivier and Mount Kitchener. Now begins the ascent up to the plateau.
For the next couple of hours, I slowly ascended what is essentially a giant rocky ramp that connects the glacial shelf to the plateau. There were some snowy patches that had some surprises waiting for me.
Oh, fuck. Whew. Dang. Woo. Wow. Hello.
But the majority of the footage here is just me breathing heavily while I struggle to get up this incline. So we can skip ahead a bit to the part of my trip where things start to get really cool.
All right. It's cleared up a bit. Quite a bit, actually. We're now moments away from the plateau itself. Still probably a good, I'd say, 30, 45 minutes from camping spot, but We're almost to the plateau. Check out the view though. Not too shabby, huh? Not too shabby. All right, let's get moving.
Something about the fog breaking up and being able to see my surroundings gave me that little boost to my speed I was looking for. I made it to the plateau in no time, and while I felt proud for having accomplished my goal, I was mostly captured by wonder of this truly weird place. It reminded me of rolling fields, except everything was blanketed in white, making it feel like a different planet entirely. I took a quick pit stop to gather some snow and melt it down to rehydrate. It went surprisingly well for my first attempt and was sorely needed. Afterwards, I decided to push up the plateau towards a quote-unquote summit called Mount Annette. I say it like that because while it has its own name, the climb up from the plateau is basically a 5-minute scramble up some rocks. But the views from the top did not disappoint.
Woo! Wow. Holy shit. That's insane.
Now, of course, I took my time to celebrate, call my mom, and soak in the views, but I had another goal coming up here. I wanted to practice a technique called self-arresting. Now, if you don't know, self-arresting is being able to stop a sudden slide during a slip on steep and icy terrain, which makes it an essential skill for traveling in the mountains. While the snow was pretty soft and forgiving, not necessarily what I'd be falling on, I figured some practice was better than none at all. So I grabbed my gear and gave it a go.
That's where I was just a couple hours ago. This is the plateau, looking beautiful as ever. But this is my training grounds. I've got all my waterproof layers on. I'm gonna throw my gloves on real quick. And we're gonna start. The idea here is essentially I'm gonna start a slide from a few different angles and then get into the proper position with my axe, put one hand at the spear tip at the bottom and one hand basically like over the top, like on the adze end. This is the adze. It's gonna go right over my shoulder, and I'm gonna put all my weight onto my shoulder and kick my feet up. So my knees are the last things touching the surface, and my feet are up in the air. The idea behind this is that by covering the bottom end, you are less likely to stab yourself. By covering this end, you're blunting the tip of the adze into your shoulder. And then by keeping your feet up, if you have crampons on your feet, it will keep your feet from sticking into the ground, causing basically tumble situation. So we'll see if I can do that just after watching some videos on YouTube.
While these conditions weren't perfect, I felt like I got the hang of the basic concept, so if I needed to use it, I'd have a better shot at succeeding than if I hadn't practiced at all. If you're curious how this feels, I took some POV shots of the practice. There's a decent amount of grunting, so if you don't like that or the prospect of falling/sliding on snow, you can skip ahead a few minutes to when I set up camp.
I want to just stick it out. And when I stick it out, I want to come down on my shoulder, grab with the one that it's not actively in the hand of. Let's see if I can do that. Oh, fuck. That's a lot of snow. Oh shit. Yeah, put my heels down. Put my heels down. I'm gonna go tumbling head over heels. Whew. That's not great. Oh, fuck. Well, that did not work. Instead, I just slid forever and dragged my axe along with me. That whole strip first. I always put my goddamn heels down. All right, how am I doing this? And then as I swing in, grab the adze. Okay, let's try that. It's so hard not to use my feet. Left hand out. As it swings me in, grab with the top, legs go up. Okay. That's all right. Not terrible. My body ended up way over here. Pick up some speed. All right, not bad. Not bad at all. On my way back to camp from self-arrest training. Oh, goodness. Goodness me, oh my. I'm exhausted. But damn, that's so cool. I think my everything is burned. I'm both constantly on fire from the sunburn and freezing cold from the snow. Why did I pick mountain climbing again? Couldn't I have just been like interested in D&D or fucking poker? I don't know. Air conditioning all the time. Okay. All right. Nah, this is better. 100%. Sorry.
All right, I feel like I need to set the record straight with past Jeff here. D&D is actually equally rad to mountain climbing, but I'll admit I have an affinity for the mountains if I'm choosing where to put my time. Regardless, the last few clips here round out the evening before I get to bed. The clouds rolled in as I finished dinner and slipped into my sleeping bag for the night.
Last night I got rained on. Hopefully tonight I won't be. But I'm surrounded by clouds. So my hopes for stargazing while I was out here is shot. That's okay. I'm just grateful to have had the experience. I feel like it was a very productive trip. Now I just got to get back down safely in one piece. But right now, we rest. Oh, God. All right. That's all I got. Good night. morning, good morning. Not sure how well you'll be able to see my face. It's currently about 5 o'clock in the morning. Whew, God, it's so fucking cold. Whew, look at that though. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. Ooh, I gotta put layers on.
The next morning was like waking up in the tundra. I was freezing cold the moment I opened my sleeping bag, but I got to witness the most beautiful sunrise I'd ever seen, so that was a nice consolation. Now, I had run out of battery on the GoPro for the walk back, so I'll throw in some pictures I took with my phone. All in all, this was an awesome trip, full of lessons I didn't need to suffer in order to learn. I really enjoyed the pacing and not having to squeeze everything into one day. Thanks for coming along on this adventure. See you on the next one. In the next chapter, I take my commitment to preparation to the next level as I go on a one-night scouting trip for my first true mountaineering objective, Ball Pass. I learn about moraine walls and washouts while taking notes to pass along to the team I'm building to join me on this crazy endeavor. But that's a story for another day.